All right, guys. So I got a really good one for you today. We're going to be talking about how to never run out of YouTube video ideas. And this is one of the most common complaints that I hear about people, either people who are trying to come up with ideas in the first place, or they've already got YouTube channels and they feel like they've covered everything and there's just nothing new that they can possibly cover. And you couldn't be more wrong. I mean, there's basically infinite amount of content that you can make that will actually get views. Okay, so this is specifically for people who want to start a YouTube business, business owners that want to start a YouTube business, or YouTubers who want to scale their business, or if you're a newbie, you can learn a lot from this as well. But here's how to never run out of YouTube video ideas. Now, this is assuming that you are making educational content. We're going to go through the 4 steps. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you didn't know who I am, my name is Shane Hummus. I always have to show this because I get a million comments um, when I don't do it. My name is Shane Hummus. My main channel has over 1 million subscribers, and I like to teach people the business of YouTube. So basically, I teach YouTube for busy business owners. That's my thing. So this is my side channel where I just make like really unfiltered, super valuable content. And I just talk about whatever I want. So step one, we're going to go through 4 steps, and then there's an optional secret step at the end. So let's go ahead, delete this. Step one, use the icon method. Now, I have talked about the icon method in past videos. So Carl Icahn, he is a very famous investor. He's 88 years old, so his heyday was, a long, long time ago. He was really famous in like the 80s and that kind of thing. But basically, what he did is he figured out a way to evaluate companies in a way that's different than anyone else was doing it. And in doing so, he was able to make hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. And what Carl did is he basically found out that there were a ton of companies out there that were doing relatively well, despite the fact that they were ran like shit. They were ran terribly. There would be there'd be these buildings in New York, and there'd be entire floors of people, thousands and thousands of people, where he would go and ask them, like, what do you do? And why do you do it? And nobody could really tell him, right, an answer. They were just like emailing each other and making presentations and not actually doing anything substantial, right? They were just basically looking like they were busy, but they weren't actually doing anything. And this is actually incredibly common, believe it or not. So he basically had this method of identifying these businesses that did very well despite being ran terribly. And then he would buy those businesses, fix them up, run them the correct way, and the businesses would use, like 5 or 10x, and then he would go ahead and sell them. Okay. So I looked at the finance world and I applied this exact same method to the YouTube world. And it's very similar. Basically, what I do is I look for videos that are terribly made. They're awful videos, objectively really bad videos, and yet they did really well. That's what I do. And in the example of the icon method, the reason the companies were doing so well is because they had some kind of unique value proposition, typically, that where they were the only company that was offering that unique value proposition in the way that they were doing it, right? Or in some cases, it could be that they had a unique brand and they were kind of just living off of their brand name. But either way, they had a unique competitive advantage over other companies that allowed them to run their company terribly and still make a ton of money. And it's the same thing with videos. When a video does extremely well, despite being made badly, which I'll go over what being made badly means here in a moment, the reason that it did so well is because of its unique value proposition. And typically, it's the idea of the video. That's the reason that the video did extremely well. It's not the great thumbnail, because there's lots of videos out there that have incredible thumbnails and they do terrible. It's not the amazing editing, because God knows there's so many YouTubers that have edited, some maybe one or a couple amazing YouTube videos and then given up when they don't get any views, right? It's not the title. Well, the title is sort of how you position the idea, so it kind of is the title. Um, and it's not like, spending a bunch of time on editing, spending a bunch of time scripting. It's not any of those things. Those things are important, but they're not the most important thing. The most important thing is the idea, and that's what you do. You use the icon method to find the right ideas. Now, I have gone over extensively in other videos exactly how to use the icon method. If I remember it, I'll try to link it in the video right now. Hopefully, I remember it. If I don't remember, just comment down below, and I'll go ahead and I'll link it. And hopefully, whoever uploads this, if I upload it, I'll remember to link it. Okay, so the icon method, just very, like a very quick way of doing it. I can't go into detail on how to do this. I did go into detail in other videos, but the icon method, I like using vidIQ for this, just to kind of like generally look up keywords just to find, good videos. Um, and then, here, let me just drag this over here. Go to vidIQ, I go to keywords, and then you just look up, Airbnb arbitrage. Okay, so this is actually one of my clients' niches. So Airbnb arbitrage, Airbnb business, Airbnb arbitrage, real estate investing. You can kind of see like all these things are semantically related to Airbnb arbitrage. So let's go to search volume. Let's go to max. How to make money, real estate, Airbnb, real estate investing, short-term rentals, Airbnb, how to start an Airbnb business, Airbnb host, Airbnb tips, Airbnb for beginners. Okay, so I like a lot of these. I'm going to go ahead and just type in Airbnb arbitrage on YouTube. Okay, so I'll just show you how to do this. Airbnb arbitrage. Okay, so so this video did fairly well, 169K views, 293K subscribers. So the ratio is not that great, and that's one thing you kind of look at with the icon method is the ratio of subscribers to views. And then the thumbnail is actually quite good. Okay, so the thumbnail on this one is quite good. So this would be okay. This would be an okay choice. It wouldn't be a great choice. I think we could probably find something a lot better. So yeah, I put that in like the maybe bucket, right? Because it did get a lot of views. And also the ones in the maybe bucket, like just hovering over it, you can tell his quality is quite good, and chances are his mic is also quite good, right? Okay, so let's see. Is Airbnb arbitrage worth it in 2024? Okay, so this one has more views than subscribers. That's a good sign, but the thumbnail also looks decent. Let's hover over the video and see what it looks like. Yeah, the video itself also looks decent. Okay. Okay, here we go. Airbnb arbitrage, everything that it takes to get started. Now, this one has a great ratio, 109K views to 9K subscribers. This one has a really good ratio. The thumbnail seems okay. It's got 2 people in it. And the video quality itself seems okay. So this one, the video quality is actually, it looks like decent. Of course, like if I was doing this realistically, I would spend more time on it. But it looks pretty decent. However, the video way outperformed the amount of subscribers. So I'd also put this one in the maybe bucket. Okay, landlords will say yes to Airbnb arbitrage if you say this. Okay, this is that same guy. It looks like pretty decent video quality. Okay, how to make money on Airbnb without renting or owning in 2025. Really good subscriber ratio. It's like 15 to 1 or something like that. And it looks like the quality is pretty good too. Okay, so the quality of his video looks decently good. So this one would go in the maybe bucket just because the subscriber, it's way more. than the subscribers. Now, the thumbnail on this one I actually don't like. I think there's too many words on the thumbnail. I think they're really blocky and they're kind of ugly and and they have weird spacing. So the thumbnail I actually don't like. So this one would almost honestly go into probably a yes on my list. Okay, so let's see. Let's look for a few more. 14 things I wish I knew before I started Airbnb. Okay, quality is not as good for this one, but it's still decent. He's got really weird exposure on his. Guests don't care. The thumbnail is okay, and the title's okay. With that being said, 10-to-1 ratio. So I'd put this in the maybe bucket, and I would go and look at the video to see if it's pretty good quality or not. Okay, let's see. Airbnb 1 year ago. Okay, this one looks like very basic quality. So it's like the thumbnail is just her background. The text is in the middle. Also has way too much text, and yeah, it looks like pretty basic quality. Like she just turned the camera on. Obviously, audio is a big part of it. I'm not going to listen to audio because I'm on Loom right now, but audio is a big part of it. You want to make sure the audio is good. That's actually extremely important. But the video itself is just pretty mediocre. It looks like she's barely editing it at all. So this is actually a really good candidate. So this is a 15-to-1 ratio or so. And the thumbnail is pretty basic and the video seems pretty basic. So this is actually a pretty good candidate. So I'd put this in probably the yes bucket. Okay. So we'll look at a few more just so you guys can see exactly how I do this. And this is, it's somewhat time consuming. It takes a little bit of time. And by the way, when I put something in the yes bucket, what I typically do is I'd screenshot it and then put it in a Google Doc. Or if you're using like a project management, like Asana, you can do that as well. But yeah, I would just screenshot it just like that, put it in a Google Doc. Then later on, I'd go back with a fresh mind and look again. Okay, how I would get my first Airbnb arbitrage property. Oh, I thought that was 998K. Okay. Now, one other thing we can do here, guys, this is a little bit of a trick. This works with some niches. It doesn't work with all niches, but you can sort by view count, and sometimes it'll work. Okay. Now, in certain niches, you'll end up getting like music videos and stuff like that. So sometimes it doesn't work, but you can sort by view count, and sometimes it will actually work. So had I made $3 million in 6 months as a 20-year-old entrepreneur? Okay, so this one I saw. I think they also possibly might have run ads to this one, but yeah, this one, yeah, relatively looks like relatively basic editing. The thumbnail's decent. Actually, her face is quite small in the thumbnail. That's a little bit of a bad sign. You see how Dave Ramsey's face is huge here. That's the correct way to do it. So that's a bit of a bad sign. But with that being said, it got a lot of views. Like, I mean, the ratio is absolutely bananas. So it's like 20-to-1. So yeah, that's a decent one. This is the type of video that you'd never copy. Shelby Church makes like really good content. You'd never want to copy her stuff. First month on Airbnb, what we learned. Okay. All right. Very basic again. Just people talking on the camera. With a thumbnail is a picture, and then people talking on the camera. And yeah, really good ratio, about like 30-to-1. And yeah, the editing is relatively minimalist. It's nothing special. It's not like a documentary style film. So yeah, this would be another good example of a icon method. Yeah, and it looks like we're finding some pretty good ones when we sort by top. Okay, so here we go. Here we go, right here. This is a terrible thumbnail. How to start an Airbnb business from scratch, step-by-step guide. This is awful. And then you got words on her shirt too. One huge thing about thumbnails, guys, never have a ton of words on the thumbnails. That's awful. Also, she just repeats the title in the thumbnail. That's another big no-no. Okay. And I have a list of these things that you shouldn't do, that I teach my clients. These are a few of them that are on the list. So right now, I know right away this title and thumbnail is awful. The ratio is about 30-to-1, which is great. Now, her video itself, it looks pretty decent in terms of the quality. It looks like she probably has good sound. I'd double check the sound. The lighting is okay. It's not great lighting. And it looks like she's not editing. She's just talking to the camera without any, fancy editing. So this is actually an amazing example. This is a great example right here. So I'm going to stop there, but I think you guys get the idea. Like, this is how you find video ideas, right? And you wait for other people to prove that the market is ready for that idea, right? Especially when you're first beginning, you don't want to be like a trailblazer because you just don't have the experience yet to be a trailblazer. Now, once you get to a certain level, which we'll talk about later, you can be kind of a trailblazer or a market maker where you're the one who makes content that actually guides the market, or you basically make content that people don't know that they need, but they actually need it, right? But when you're first starting, like, don't do that. That's a terrible idea, right? You absolutely do not want to do that. You want to make content that's already proven, and specifically, you want to make content that's proven that's actually like objectively bad, right? It's just like you want to remake those videos. Now, by the way, you don't ever copy the person's title or thumbnail. You just copy the idea, right? So you would make a title that's similar to this idea, and then you'd make an actually good thumbnail. Okay. So that is the icon method in a nutshell. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it in other videos I have, of course, but that's the icon method. So use the icon method. That's the best method for finding videos. That's the method I teach all my clients. That's the method they have success with. That's the method I have success with. The icon method is undefeated. With that being said, it's not the only method that I use. However, if you're only going to use one method, without a doubt, it should be this. Okay. Let's move on to step 2. Use the modified icon method on other platforms. So this is basically where you do exactly what I just did, but you just do it on other platforms. Okay. So let me just give you guys an example. A lot of the times things will go viral on Reddit forums, or subreddits as they call them, before they go on YouTube. And I've seen this over and over again. Just to give you a few examples, the carnivore diet got really big on Reddit before it got big on YouTube. Dopamine detox got really big on Reddit before it got big on YouTube. Digital minimalism got really big on Reddit before it got big on YouTube. Okay, so these are a few examples of things that came from other platforms, and you could almost just know with near certainty that if something is really popular on another platform, it's going to be popular on YouTube as well. So what you do is you'd go to those subreddits and you'd look for posts, and look for the ones that are really popular despite not being the most well-written post. Like what is getting upvoted like crazy when it's not like a super high quality post. And that is the modified icon method. Now you could use that on Instagram, you could use that on Twitter, you could use that on Reddit, you could use it on blogs. There's a lot of different options for you to use it on. It's not as good as the icon method, right? Because the icon method is you have more proof that it's going to work, because that people are watching that idea and are like, there's a hungry crowd that's starving for that idea right now. Okay. And that's the analogy that I like to use, is like, if you've got a starving crowd of people, you can feed them hot dogs, no problem. And they'll love it. They'll love hot dogs. Whereas if you set up a, 5-star gourmet restaurant, but you put it in a food truck and it's, right outside of a place that people already ate a bunch, like a buffet, nobody's going to buy, because they're not starving. They just ate. They're satiated, right? So that's the icon method. You find ideas that people are not starving for, and you don't have to make gourmet 5-star Michelin star food that takes 10 years of chef school in order to get to, right? You don't have to do that. You can make really good food, or you can make food that's good enough for them because they're starving, right? Hot dogs. That's all they really need. Okay, step 3. Identify which videos did the best and why. So this is where you kind of go back and you kind of reiterate what worked. So this is after you've done, maybe 10 to 30 videos. Okay, 10 to 30 videos. And then you go back and you basically identify which videos did the best and why. So why would be the unique value proposition. You want to know what is unique about this video? Why did this video do so well? So you want to look at, like, okay, what was the format of the video? Was it a how-to? Okay. Was it a listicle, right? Like top 10 list or something? Was it a, I don't know, case study? What was it? What made the video perform so well? So identify which videos did the best and why. That's very, the and why is very important. Don't forget that part. And then make similar videos to those videos. It's pretty much that simple. So you identify which videos did the best after you've done like 10 to 30 videos, and then you make similar videos. Now, uh, I call this the evolution method. This is what I teach my clients. This is what the system that I show them how to do, and it's very similar to how people basically drill for oil. So when people are drilling for oil, what they'll do, these oil companies, they know that most places they look are not going to have oil, so they'll send survey teams out to vast locations, all over the map. They'll send survey teams out like all over. Like let's just say this is the map right here. Okay, they'll send like each one of these dots is like a survey team. Okay, so we got all these dots. Dot 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 dot. So oops. Okay, so yeah, each one of these dots is like a survey team. So they're surveying and they're looking for signs of oil, right? So there's certain signs, like certain types of minerals in the ground and stuff that would indicate like, there's a good chance there's oil here, right? And so they go all over the place and they do these tiny little surveys, right? And then they identify, you know what? In this area, we saw more signs than any other area. So now let's go ahead and let's do a more extensive operation here. So now we've got like little, they're no longer little dots. They're like, more extensive, bigger teams. They're dedicating more people to those areas, right? And this is kind of like you making videos on subjects that you think, might be good because you use the icon method. Not all of them are going to pop, but some of them will do better than others. And then you know what? You notice like, the ones that are in this area are even better. And so you send an even bigger team, right? For that area. And then you notice like, you know what? This area right here actually has oil. And then you just throw the kitchen sink at it, right? You like build a town around it. You send thousands and thousands of people to it. They're drilling oil day and night. You build an entire ecosystem around it, right? Dedicate extensive resources to it. That's the evolution method, essentially. But you do that with YouTube videos. Okay, so you look for these different videos, you try out different ideas, different angles, et cetera, and then once you find an idea that works, you just double down. Double down is an understatement. You triple down on it, right? You make literally hundreds of videos about that idea. Okay, that's what you want to do. All right, and then step 4, make the same video with different angles. Okay, so let's talk about different angles. Because you might be thinking, how can I possibly make hundreds of videos on the same idea? Well, look at my main channel, right? I make so many videos on remote jobs. Okay, so remote jobs. I just changed little tiny things here and there. I identified that this is what my audience wanted. Remote jobs, Shane Hummus. Okay, I identified this is what my audience wanted. And I make a ton of different videos on these. 7 real remote jobs that anyone can do in 2025. 9 boring but high-paying remote jobs, always hiring. 11 simple but steady remote jobs that are always hiring. 13 flexible but profitable part-time remote jobs. 9 remote job companies that never stop hiring. So you can see it's basic. It's a very similar video. Like the value proposition of the video is exactly the same. It's a listicle, so it's a list of remote jobs for people so they can check out. They can sample a bunch of different ones and see which one's best for them. And there's slight little variations. Like some of them are high paying, some of them are easy hire, some of them are work at night, some of them are remote job companies that hire a lot, some of them are flexible, some of them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just make tiny little variations on the same video, and I just do it over and over again, and I do it really well, and I do it high quality. I know exactly what my audience wants because I've been doing it so many times, right? And I know how to make a really quality video without that much effort because I've systemized it, and I just do it over and over and over again. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Make the same video with different angles. Once you have a video that pops, just make the same videos, same types of videos with different angles. Don't try to overcomplicate it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. You look at like Graham Stephan, for instance, guys. He's one of the most famous YouTubers. Um, Graham Stephan, one of the most famous YouTubers in the finance space, got almost 5 million subscribers. And this guy right here, like, it's just wild. Like, uh, he almost all of his videos are either about index funds or real estate. Like, that's essentially all of his videos are. Oh, the economy just did this. Janet Yellen just did this. The Fed chairman just said this. Blah 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 blah. The president just did this, and then his videos like, oh, by the way, you should invest in index funds. You should invest in real estate. Diversify your investments. Dollar cost average. Blah 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 blah. Like, says the same stuff in like every single video essentially. He covers the news now, but like even back in the day, like 2 years ago, before he was covering the news, he would just say the same stuff over and over again in every single video. And now he covers the news, but he just like leverages it in such a way to basically say it so that he's covering the same information because he believes in that information. Okay, so all the big YouTubers basically do this. They just make the same videos with different angles. Same with Mr. Beast. Okay, Mr. Beast. Once you realize this, you're never going to see YouTube again. Like, all of his videos are essentially the same. They're all challenge videos. People compete for money in the video. It's just slightly different ideas for each one, but it's the same exact format. It's a challenge video, and they're competing for money almost always. And it's pretty much the same format, and it's like a slightly different angles, but it's always extreme. It's always wild, and it just works really, really well. Okay, so don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just do what works more and more and more. And then optional secret step. Once you understand your audience on a very deep level, I'm going to emphasize this. Okay, understand your audience on a deep level. You can become a market maker, which means make new content for the market that hasn't been made before. Okay, but don't try to do this right off the bat. If you think that you can, like, first of all, the algorithm is not going to be very kind to you if you're a tiny channel. Once you're a bigger channel, it's easier to become a bit of a market maker. But you really need to be a bigger channel and, or at least a more established channel, right? If you're in a small niche, you don't necessarily have to have a big channel, but you need to be established in that niche. And then you also need to understand your audience on an incredibly deep level. And in this case, you can actually become a market maker and basically, maybe answer questions that you hear on sales calls, or you can basically just anticipate like what your audience wants, just because you work with a bunch of clients and you just kind of know what they want. So by extension, you kind of know what your audience wants, right? And that is, a really good way of becoming a market maker. But generally speaking, guys, you don't need to do that. I mean, 99. I hate to burst your bubble, but like 99% of businesses just do what already works. Okay. Then there's that 1% that's like the market makers, and yeah, they might become billionaires or whatever, but they're the exception to the rule. 99% of businesses just do whatever works. Okay. And if you try to complicate things, it's not going to work. Just keep it simple, and you're going to have a good time. All right. So if you would like to work with me, I do offer coaching. I work with clients. I've helped at this point, I'm losing track. I think I've helped 6 or 7 people get to 8 figures a year, and like 17, 18 people get to 7 figures a year using YouTube and content. Okay. So if you want to work with me, if you want to blow your YouTube channel up, if you're a YouTuber that wants to do much better on YouTube, or if you're a busy business owner that wants to do YouTube, but you don't have time to do it and you want to systematize things and process flow things, then go ahead, reach out to me. There'll be a link in the description and the pin comment below. There's also an informational video that talks about exactly what I do and how you can accomplish this. So definitely check it out. Have a good one.